for joining us.
Of course, Rachel. Thanks for having me as always.
Of course. Neama, I want to first ask you, what are your thoughts on this split verdict today?
People are calling it a split verdict, Rachel, but I'm not going to mince words. This was an overwhelming defeat for the prosecution and a huge win by Diddy and his defense team. This will go down as the most expensive prostitution trial in American history. I fully expect Diddy to be released on bond later today, and when he's sentenced sometime in the coming months, he's probably going to get time served or close to it. The jurors overwhelmingly rejected the testimony of the three victims. That, of course, is Cassie Ventura and victims Mia and Jane, who were testifying under pseudonyms. I thought there was potentially a path for the government to get to racketeering for non-sex related conduct, like extortion or bribery or kidnapping or arson. But the jurors rejected that as well. So an overwhelming defeat for the prosecution. The Mann Act prostitution charges are really going to amount to nothing more than a slap on the wrist. And there's a reason why Diddy was ecstatic and on the verge of tears in the courtroom today.
He really was, did a fist pump and was cheered on by his family and friends. Neama, the defense is suggesting a $1 million bond. They argue Combs was not found guilty on the most serious charges. So what are the odds he'll be released from jail?
Rachel, I think it's very likely that he's released from jail, maybe as early as today, because really prostitution, it's a throw-in. It's not a serious offense. I can tell you, I put more than 1,000 people in federal prison. I never once charged prostitution or the Mann Act. Obviously, look, it's a crime, but are you going to make a federal case out of prostitution? And let's be honest, if Combs is guilty of prostitution, so are Cassie Ventura and victim Jane. They were texting the escorts, they were paying them. And I'm not suggesting that Cassie or Jane should be prosecuted for prostitution, but it just really underscores how not serious these charges are. Combs should absolutely be released. Again, I'm a former prosecutor, but the Southern District of New York, the Department of Justice, they should take their loss in this case. They should move on. I heard them saying they may ask for the maximum sentence of 10 years on each count. There's absolutely no way Combs is going to get anything near that. He'll be a free man sometime, maybe as early as this afternoon.
Yeah, Neama, I wanted to talk about the sentence Combs possibly faces. You don't think he's going to get 10 years. I want to ask you, then how much do you think he will get? And the time he's already served for all these several months that he's been behind bars, will he get credit for that?
He will. And everyone talks about the maximum sentence of 10 years, but you can throw that out. What matters is the federal sentencing guidelines. And those are calculations that are based on the offense and the criminal history. Combs, of course, has no prior criminal history. He just has that one arrest in the nightclub shooting case in New York, but he was acquitted of that with J-Lo. So under the sentencing guidelines, which many, many years ago used to be mandatory, then the Supreme Court said, no, they're advisory. But most judges stay within that range. I was doing some back-of-the-napkin calculations, Rachel, and Combs is likely going to face as little as 15 to 21 months in prison. Now, obviously, he's been in custody since he was arrested in September of last year, and there obviously are some credits for good time behavior. That's why I expect him to spend little to no time in prison, and why I think he should be granting bail while probation prepares a pre-sentence report and the judge does that sentencing probably in approximately 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, we'll see what the judge decides later today. Neama Rahmani, thank you so much for your perspective and insights.
Of course, Rachel. Thanks for having me. Talk soon.
All right.